When I'm not somehow finding the strength to ignore the influx of unsolicited life advice I've been getting from all the people who invested $50 in Dogecoin, I like to answer questions and comments that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Nice piece of gear. It would be cool to see how you set up everything, especially since you have multiple inputs like a synth and a drum part going through it. So this is on the video I did last week with the RC505. I did a quick demonstration because I'm thinking about incorporating more live looping stuff into the live performances that are starting up again, and maybe some live stuff on YouTube here. And it also kind of got me thinking about a video I've been wanting to do for a while, and that's just explaining mixer inputs and just why you actually need a mixer, okay? Every piece of audio gear that I've ever had has one thing in common. It's always one input short of what I actually need, okay? So my least favorite thing on the planet are these things. Little adapters. Doesn't matter what they adapt to, what they adapt out of. These things always find a way to break somehow. I've had great luck with cables. Cables for me never really break. The adapters always break. So I hate kind of getting in and out of stuff with adapters. That's why a mixer is gonna be your very best friend. A very small mixer. Everybody should have a small mixer handy. I can't tell you how many times this has really saved my life, okay? So I have a relationship with a company called Flamma that I've been doing pedals for. So I know they make one, so I reached out to them as just a sponsor to this video because I wanted to talk about it anyways. So they sent me this mixer. This is a great example of just how a small mixer can save your life, all right? Now, specifically for that live looping video, I had vocals, guitar, a synth part, and a drum kit. So I had 4 things. Some of those were in stereo, all right? So real quick, let's just kind of like run down some of the stuff and then I'll do an example later. So this is a 6-channel mixer, all right? You can put your XLR cable here, right? An XLR cable usually connects to a microphone most times. And basically everything in a line here is gonna affect that channel, okay? I could also plug a guitar in here too. It's a combo jack, so I could plug an XLR or a 1/4 inch to it. And then you can just kind of select, you know, like if you're using like an instrument one or whatever. Now, you have the gain here, okay? So basically with gain setting, I think that's something that's also kind of like misunderstood and people who haven't used mixers before. You basically want your gain to just be the most signal you can get in without ever clipping, right? So take the loudest you're ever gonna play something and set your gain to there where it's gonna sound good. And then you can set the level of how loud you want it to be with either a level knob here or a fader, okay? Now, the great thing about this is it also has channel specific effects, which is why I kind of prefer this to using the stuff on the RC505, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, so this has a compressor EQ and a reverb on channel 1, which is basically going to be your mic channel. Channel 2, it can be an instrument, a guitar. It has an amp sim built in and another reverb. Again, we'll do a demo of this in a second. But yeah, same thing, level and gain, all right? Now, 3 and 4, you might see like a back-to-back 1/4 inch jack thing like this sometimes. This is where I would plug the Prophet, my synth in, because I think it sounds great with pad type stuff like that to be in stereo, okay? A lot of times you have to adapt that down and run in mono. It always sounds better in stereo, I promise you. I've done this so many times getting it into different recorders and stuff. Stereo is definitely the way to go with any kind of keyboard, synth, ethereal type stuff, all right? Now, 5 and 6 here, you can do the same thing, but you most likely will have to like adapt this down to an RCA thing, which I don't like doing. Now, you can also use an aux-in cable like this, which is great, which I can go out of the SPDSX Roland that I kind of trigger all the drum stuff in. So basically, I can have all the levels for those set here. I can have specific effects on there, and I can always pipe in effects if I want to use pedals in between any of these things. And then I will send them out to either the RC505 in stereo or to an interface in stereo. Now this is kind of important. I just actually dealt with this last night. So a lot of times mixers will have a main out and a line out. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, these are generally kind of like the same thing, but having independent control over the levels is super, super important, okay? So the main out, usually you kind of just go to your speakers. Most speaker PA systems are powered, so this is an unpowered signal load that you're sending to the speakers, which will take that signal and then power it just like a guitar amp with a guitar cable, pretty much, right? Now, the line out is great because Like I just ran into this last night. They wanted, the venue I was at wanted me to send a line out with a different volume into their sound system that they could pipe like outside to like different like people at their venue, right? So that's why it's important to have something with a line out that you have independent control, because you can send another full mix, but then again, control that louder or softer. The reason that's important is because, again, I tried to do this on my Bose mixer last night, which is a great mixer, but the independent controls aren't as easy as this, because to make the line out louder, I had to make the PA louder, which is so stupid. I mean, you can get into it, but there's routing and stuff like that. Anyways, it's just so great to have a line out section and a main out section. Again, all intents and purposes, they're going to be the same thing, but there's a million different reasons why you might want independent level control, volume control over all those. Headphone out, okay? Simple enough. Just put headphones into it, okay? Now the difference between that is this is going to be a powered out. Remember, the line out is unpowered. It's just like plugging a guitar cable into something, right? The amp powers that signal so you can hear it. A headphone send is actually going to be powered, so you can just plug passive headphones that you don't have to plug anything into, and you can hear it, okay? So there's like a load being delivered through that output. You can still use that as like a third output if you want. Like if you want to run something into like a small handheld recorder, that's still going to work as long as you set your gains settings, A lot of people are like, oh, the line out's going to sound better. Whatever. Headphone outs sound pretty good for the most part in my experience for what you usually use them for, okay? So a lot of other features for this, there's auxiliary levels and stuff like that. I think you can even charge your phone with this. It's kind of amazing. But basically, all this to say is you can take 6 different sources, right? Especially if you're doing some kind of show where it's vocals, maybe dual vocals, guitars, drums, whatever, and then actually send them into something else, okay? You can even send it into another mixer, something with like more, right? But having independent level control over all this stuff is super important. If I wanted to do this with the RC505, I could kind of plug my microphone into the RC505 mic in. I could plug my pedal board into the left and right. I could adapt down the synth, or I could adapt my SPDSX into the auxiliary thing with that little dongle cable. I could run my synth through the SPDSX through its through pattern, but then it just gets complicated, and then I don't have like convenient control over everything. That's why, again, a mixer is super great. Now, as long as I have this set up, I kind of wanted to just check out the effects and see what it sounds like. So I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of how it sounds with one of the Ryder tracks right now. All right, so guitar, and that's with the reverb. So without the reverb, pretty good. Sounds good. Voice sounds amazing, as always. Time to ride. We all raise a glass and a toast to a friend, stricken by illness and nearing the end. A finite horizon, the sun sets to blend into night, into night. A desperate resort from an old friend tempting the fate, and too late. A formality to look into, but by the grace of a new dawn breaking with haste in the starlight, we might revive a rider spent and postpone him heaven sent in hindsight. We are unprepared, yet stand to make amends. Sounds pretty good to me, Reverb, tasteful. I would definitely use this live. It sounds great. And just when I think you've reached ultimate genius level, you make a video like this and redefine the limits. Yeah, so this was on my video, Famous Baroque Composers as their Applebee's half-off appetizer counterpart, which also is the least viewed video I have posted in the last 4 years. So, like most genius, it goes unnoticed and unrewarded in its time. So thank you for that. I hate the celluloids with a passion. Started on them, set a couple on fire while tremolo picking. Scared the living daylights out of myself. Man, you're so good, you're so fast, you set your picks on fire. That's a cool comment. Thanks for doing these, Sean. I know they're not as sexy as a lot of the other videos, and thus not as good for you via the algorithm, but this sort of stuff is so helpful. Yeah, thanks. So you probably missed this one too because YouTube didn't tell anybody about it. But I've been trying to do a few of these guided practice lessons, like a month, just because the people who do watch them seem to really like them. So basically what it is, it's I'm just kind of practicing a concept and just doing it for like 10, 15 minutes. We do it together. It's fun. It forces you to pick up the guitar and have some accountability. What's not to like? I'll link you in the description.
Been trying these exercises for 2 years and I still can't do it. So I've quit guitar and F you and all you guitarists. Practice does not work.
Is this like the equivalent of quitting a job and kind of telling everyone off at work, but you're doing it in a YouTube guitar comments video that you're quitting guitar because practice doesn't work? Seems a little salty. I come back to this every once in a while just to hear the official Sean Daniel arpeggio lick. You know, the more I play the official Sean Daniel arpeggio lick, the more I love it. And again, I played like a live show last night for the first time in forever, and I was using it to the max. If you don't know what it is, it sounds like this. So here's the G. Say we're playing like a song in G, right? G, B. It's great, right? It's a major 7. So I go G, A, B, D, G, F sharp, D, E, D, G, major 7. So if we were to count those in the scale, remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 7, 5, 6, 5, 1. Major 7. It works for anything. It's the perfect way to end any song. Any song you're ever gonna end on a major chord, let's say it's just C, F, G, C. As soon as everybody thinks you're done, make them know you're not done, and then really milk it. Using the third person when referring to yourself is dangerously near the not a hack daddy territory. You know, I can talk about myself as a hack daddy anytime I want. In the video yesterday, I had some guitar hacks, and I revealed that people call me the hack daddy, which of course nobody calls me the hack daddy until now. But the hack daddy and hack mama interaction in that video is pretty good. So you should probably watch that one too. I thought that was pretty funny. All right, for listening homework this week, I'm going to throw you to a track by just really a great band that doesn't get enough appreciation. They're called Little Tybee. I think I've actually talked about them a while ago, but I'm going to throw you to another track by them because I just think it's just good, feel-good music. Sounds great. And check that out. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.